Okay, dear students, so we are today talking about the colonial history and independence movements. Well, we're going to start on the 15th century when Vasco da Gama arrived and he found the Arabic merchants already in Mozambique and most of the population already Islamized. The Portuguese merchants supported private armies to infiltrate the Mane Mutapes empire, sometimes signing agreements and sometimes forcing them. At the end of the 17th century, the empire was resigned and replaced by Xangamira Dombos as Portugal continued to try to dominate the region. 2 decades later, Portuguese, who had mounted dozens of military campaigns by the time, directly controlled the Bureau of Central Mozambique, the African Portuguese of Zambezi, and Maganja da Costa Prazos, which were conceptions of lands. The Yao of Mataka, the northern Makua chiefdoms, and the northern coastal chiefdoms of Angosh. Trade every gold, slaves, rubber, oilseeds, and broad range of European goods continued throughout the 19th century. However, European economic interest and influence in the region changed rapidly by the mid-century in response to the developments in both Africa and Europe. In 1884 and 1885, the Berlin Conference was held, and general act of it that wanted to formulate the scramble for Africa. When the Gaza leadership was finally defeated in 1897, southern Mozambique passed into Portuguese control as Portugal desperately tried to claim a swath of territory from present-day Mozambique to Angola. British claims over the region contradicted these of Portugal, leading to prolonged negotiations. However, the Portuguese crown was heavily in debt to the British finances, and the small country was no match, of course, to the Britain's military. So in 1891, Portugal was forced to accept Britain's definition of Mozambique's western and southern borders. Portugal has used a colonial strategy of leasing large tracts of land to private companies. Chartered companies were granted the privilege of exploiting the lands and people of specific areas in exchange of obligation to develop agriculture, communications, social services, and trade. The Mozambique Company, the Niassa Company, and the Zambezi Company were all established in this manner in the 1890s. An economic development and investment in infrastructure was related directly to the company's interest and usually undertaken at the African expense. Sugar coppers, sisal plantations, depending largely on conscripted labor and railways linking Beira with the British South Africa Company territory and the British Nyasalandia to the west and northwest were all developed and built at higher cost of the African workforce. The movements for independence. At the end of the Second World War, an involvement of Africans caused a sense of resentment and growth of the courage to fight for independence, which at the 1955 culminated with the Bandung Conference and Asian Afro Conference to discuss the independence movement. The political and economical changes brought in Salazar regime in Portugal and the Coronation Revolution there, which ended supporting the movements for independence in Mozambique, Manu, Unami, Udenamo, along with the Mozambicans living abroad, who came to support Eduardo Mondlane, Marcelino dos Santos, and João Pichasan. Okay, there is a small thing to correct here. Okay, so we continue. In 1962, the movements joined, forming nationalist movements now called Frelimo, Mozambican Front for Liberation, based on Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and Eduardo Mondlane, an ONU sociologist and anthropologist, was chosen as the leader, although he was murdered on February the 3rd of 1969, being replaced by Samora Machel. This movement, now recognized internationally, fought against the Portuguese reaching the Lusaka agreements on September the 7th, 1974. In June the 25th of 1975, Machel declares the Mozambican independence. Mozambique choice for Marxist orientation and central planned economy, making relation with the Soviet Republic, Russian republics, China, Cuba, despite the opposition of the capitalist regime surrounding the country, apartheid, South and North Rhodesia. So this is where our recording ends, and in the next session we are going to be dealing with the independence, the post-independence, and its nuance.